Hey people, I watched this movie from Odd TV last night, The Sleep Doctor, and I'll leave a link below. It's a good flick from Odd TV. He's got a lot of good stuff. And it's about satanic rituals and soul swapping. Then I went back to what I was doing. I did that last movie in With Of, and I was looking for the last place this word was used in the Torah. And I noticed this word down here, this passover. And I know that doesn't talk about the Passover till Deuteronomy 16. And they usually just give this one word, the PSH, the Passover. But now this is the Passover, the pass of hour. Here on 16, it's the summer, SMUR, the summer to Hades, the Abiba. I did that movie on Abiba about 2 Mardi Gras ago. I let my little Abiba, my granddaughter, go shoot the Mardi Gras. Abiba is the first child born after grandmother has died, in German, English, French, Spanish. But down in Africa, Abiba is the first female, usually the first female child after grandmother's died. And that has to do with the rulership. They believed that the grandmother's soul would go into that child. And that's the same as the Natchez Indians. The king and the queen weren't married. It was either his mother or his daughter. It was never his wife. And it would pass from the king and to his daughter and her first son. And then and that would keep the son from getting eager and want to kill his dad to become king. And was it pass life? This is the same word I say as you and they say as Lord. And sometimes it starts with a L, L-I-E-V-E, the life, live, the past life. And so I had to look at this a little closer. I know I'm missing some punctuation here. And you can see it here at the end of 15. There wasn't no punctuation between, so it is read, the past, P-S-H, A-V, of, or V-A, the pass of, O-U-R, the hour. In all them ancient languages, they always just give a H every time a word starts with a vowel. They just give it the H. And that's where your word hour come from, H-O-U-R, passive hour. And they just give it the meaning lame here. But you can see in this next chapter, 16, they give it the Passover, the P-S-H. So this line in 15 at the end here, it's the wiki, to give, and then the tack here, read this backward and forward. So this is E-Y-E-Y-E-Y-E. It sounds like an impossible word to say, but the first E-Y is the, T-H-E, and then the Y, they, I-E-Y-E-Y-E, they, I. I is like, alright, it's what the sailor says on the boat, meaning, alright, I will do. To give they, I, okay, it's okay with me, yeah, I'll do it. B, you, into. To give they, I, into. And this is moose from use. The final M looks like an S and is pronounced as an S. From connect from use, the pass of hour. And so this is where your word pass, as in death, comes from. To pass. The pass of hour is the time of death. But it's also the Passover, which is Easter. And this simply means the sun crossing over the equator. This is the equator, this purple line here. And in January in the morning, you'll see the sun down at its lowest point, and it's creeping up in March. And then when it reaches the equator, you'll look out due east and you'll see the sun rise, and that's your Passover. And it'll rise up into midsummer, and then it'll start to fall. That's where your word fall comes from. It falls till Christmas, and it rises again. The wicked they I into must pass over, call from use roll to Zaba new life. The ZBH is the sacrifice, to cut in Z cut BN H divide, cut in divide new to Zaba new life. And then this is the Kiel, Kiela, to give yell the word. And I talked about why that means the word in this 2 movies ago here, about the ancient Bible saying Eve was created on the 6th day. But to give the word, and the word is the words that the stars are saying. It means the letters in the stars, how to read the stars. And this word they call Jehovah or Yahweh. This is you. And you'll find 1,000 different words beside it. They'll give the meaning of you, because everybody knew it was in there, and they're trying to fit it in, or they just meritoriously they'll give it like here, your God, because it follows of life, of you, your God, to give yell. And this next line, you'll see they had to meritoriously add some stuff in here to get it right. But in the Soric, to clean, TOCLN2. In the Soric, to clean to. In the Soric is within your gates. Your gates is your rectum. To clean to. Etham. Whether rich do Kasabi and kale. Kasabi is not a gazelle, and kale is not a deer. Kasabi and kale is the dietary requirements, and a kasabi is a yucca flatbread. It's made out of cassava, and that's from the Americas. And you'll see this, the B doesn't have a dot in it. It's a cassava. Not a kasabi, a cassava. And kale. You know, and it's that's what they call the dietary requirements that go with the Passover. We want you to be eating your cassava and kale. Within your gates you may eat it, the unclean and the clean person may eat it alike, as if it were a gazelle or a deer. Cassava and kale. Just pretend it's a piece of meat, because you can't have no meat. So it appears that this paragraph here, the firstborn animals, is talking about the Passover. And the firstborn animals, you know, the sun's coming out of Aquarius and Pisces, and the firstborn animals are over here at Aries and Taurus. So enough of the boring stuff. Let's get into the Feast of Soul Swapping. And y'all might think I'm crazy, but there's people in academia that are talking about my work. So this next chapter, the Feast of the Passover, that was probably the last chapter. This is probably something totally different here. And so it's summer, S-M-U-R, somewhere to consume from where. The summer to side Hades. Hades is hell. Somewhere to side Hades. The Aviv. You see there's no dot in here, so this is V-I-V, the Vive. And it comes from, you know, the word of life. You know, to survive or to revive is to bring back to life. So the avive is probably the base word for survive or revive. The first life. The power by in. E-A, the power, B-Y, by N. The power by N was it past life. So if we look at this past, you see it comes past who life. Passover, it is the Lord's. The pass who life, Passover, he to the Lord's. The past life, Passover, God. Past life, Passover shall be the Lord's. The past life, kill, to give yell. Passover to the Lord your God. Past life, past life, past life, past life. So most every time it comes up, it comes as past life. So before y'all go out and start killing babies and doing blood rituals, I want you to know that most of your satanic rituals are coming from people that are misinterpreting these writings. And so I'm going to read this, but remember it's poetry, and it has several meanings. You have to look a little different. You know, look at several ways, and every letter has to fit in before you figure it out. When you figure it out, you know it, because you'll be laughing. It'll be funny. But there's somewhere to the side Hades, the Aviv, was it past life to kill. So the keel could be the word, or it could also be the hull. You know, the keel is the hull of the ship. The keel give in Hades, the aviv, evixiac. You have eviction. So you have the evixi, you have the evixer, and you have the evixiac. You have one, doing the ceremony, and you have one with the soul coming out of it, and one with the soul going in. And this is the aviv of evixiac. You kill from its rise of lily, the night, or not necessarily the night, but the rise of the moon, lily. And so this word they give Egypt is just not Egypt. It never was Egypt. It's from the cries. When it's just MXRIs from cries, but this is from mit's rise. And mit is an ancient English word that means with. My mit's rai m, but that final m is pronounced as a s. But this is from with its rise of lily of the moon. To zabat, to cut and divide it, to sacrifice it. Past life, to kill, son. XON, this is the cross on. That's why you always see that sheep that's bleeding, and he's carrying the flag with the cross on. That's why they call this the flock. Sometimes it's called the sheep. But it's to kill the hull of the sun, to infor in from fuse, raise, and then this is backwards and forwards, the RHVIVHR, the reviver. In from fuse, raise, reviver. U of skin, L S of, L is of skin, same uses. You're going to use the same skin. You're going to put your aviv, the life-giving force, the aviv, you're going to put it in the same skin as the sun, to kill the sun. And in from fuse, raise, to fuse, F-U-S, final M is a S, is to raise, reviver, the reviver. You of skin same uses, SM same, or consume from, to connect, to consume from, the same uses of the skin, to put. You look at this word and it's going to come up, to settle, to dwell in. That's where you dwell in your skin, to establish, to the place in the skin. And most of the time you see it, it's going to come up, of the skin same uses, the skin same uses, the skin same uses. And this word, the avive, that's like viva la France, to long live. And so that's how you long live, is you put your life into a child. Reincarnation. So this low is never no. When you're low on fuel, it doesn't mean you have no fuel. It means beware. You're low on fuel. Beware. Divine knowledge. It means you're going to learn. The low. Low. Beware of cat to call. Allow chemits. Seva time is to call. And so the cat to call is Bastet. The cat to call. And she's the one that's responsible for bringing Upper and Lower Egypt together, is the way they're interpreting it. But what it's talking about is bringing the calendar together from one year to the next. And that was her job, to bring the two kings together, bring the end of the year together. And so, low of cat to call, you shall eat, because that's how you call a cat, is with food. And it's ancient language. If there's a cat hanging around, somebody's feeding it. And the hobos do it today. They leaving a message for their buddy behind. If they paint a cat on the pole by your house, it means there's a nice old lady there that will feed them. Of the cat to call, lo of cat to call, you shall eat. Allow chemits. This is chemist. This is Egypt here. This is the word meaning Egypt. There was no Egypt. Nobody ever heard of Egypt over there. It was chemits. Chemits. And the cat to call, to bring the two kings, the upper and lower kingdom, together. The kingdom is the milk, the Milky Ways. To allow chemits, seva time is. Savat, S-V-O-T. Savat. That's or Shavat. That's the Jewish holiday halfway through February. The Sabbath time is to call, and then backwards and forwards will allow the mix what? To mix what? To bring them together. To mix what? Loss, seeing. O-I-N to C-N-J, or N-I, ing. To seeing, give, in haps when. It sat March. From February to March, and that was when you called the cat to come, to will allow to mix what? Loss, seeing, give, in haps when. It sat March. From cries of man, 'tis car. Tis car too. Mooey, much of, and backwards and forwards, mooey. To much use the static, in static, to be thrilled. To march from cries, to climb, hijack, the climby, KLI is your base word. It's where your word incline come from, and it means a climb. You know, the sun's climbing. The climb hijack. To hijack, to take. Jack is to take. So you can't argue with anybody about these satanic rituals. It's psychology. And, if you believe it and you go through all the steps and have all the right tools and say the right things, it's going to have an effect. It is true, it's going to have an effect on your psyche. And it will have outcome. And so you're going to believe it, If you read it out of a book or you heard it from somebody and you used all the tools and said all the prayers, it's going to have effect on you. It's going to do something. It's going to work. And these writings had so much power that they had to change the language. They had to change all of our human history. But just reading the book, proves that they're lying about our history. And the writers of it were well versed, and they were around the whole world. They knew everybody's history. There's much of it, not just this part, much of it talks about America. It talks about plants and creatures that only live in the Americas, that have never been in Africa or Egypt or in Europe. So there's a huge chunk of our history that's being lied about. And I'm going to cut this off here. Nobody's into my really long movies. All right, good day.